trying to beat the. Lock this down. Yeah. Did I bring him up before even we start the meeting? You ready?
All set. Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Gil Cedillo. This is the Housing Committee, August 2nd, 2017. I am very excited to be back and to be with you. We are going to go quickly to public comment, and then we can close that down and move forward with our business. So, Allison, you want to come up, and then Danielle, you want to come up? Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm really concerned about the lack of affordable, accessible housing. I'm 28 and I'm still living at home with my mom, and it's very frustrating because I don't really have any options that I can afford. I'm on SSI and SSDI, so I have very limited income, and it would be nice to have my own place so I could be more independent. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. We'll work on that. Danielle. Danielle, we heard from you this morning. You've got multiple items today.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Yes.
And then you go see I'm from CLAI. The organization just to the city for the housing. You're all familiar with it. And I want to know number two issue, number one on the agenda. I want to know is the property on 1211 East 43 Street is it going to be accessible? It must be accessible. And I don't know if you follow the ADA. The ADA has to be compliant to the ADA. I hope we work with the Department of Disability. The same issue with the property on 252 South Rampart Boulevard must be accessible. Otherwise you will be in another lawsuit. I will not tolerate anymore the issue of not having accessible and affordable housing anymore. And furthermore, about the issue on Hatla, the Hatla. Have you ever seen the Hatla list? The Hatla website. The Hatla website need to be improved. It needs to be improved by making sure that the list over there is accessible housing. There's no accessibility whatsoever mentioned over there. And I want to emphasize this. It will be, you know that the seniors, the baby boomers, the veterans, and so on are looking for housing. And my friends here are looking for housing too. So we are all competing for each other's housing. So if you want to have a quota, to cut the quota from 20 to 30% housing and affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes public comment. Danielle and Allison, thank you for being here with us today. Let me begin, as I stated earlier. I'm very excited about being here. This is our first meeting since the elections in the spring. Can that be true? We have a new committee. We have a new committee membership, a new committee structure, and I'm very excited as we go forward. We have experience on my right. Mr. Harris Dawson, now experienced with the committee, no longer a newbie, with higher expectations on his incredible leadership. And of course, my colleague to the left, Mr. Krikorian. What a welcome. I want to give a welcome to you and a pleasure that you will be joining us. We've worked together in the legislature and here in Los Angeles, and I welcome the intellectual bandwidth that you're going to bring to this committee, the vigilance that you'll bring to make sure that we're not involved and have to be directed by lawsuits to comply with ADA, but rather we do that right at the front. So I'm pleased that we have new members and new attitudes, and that the committee's smaller, which means we'll be able to do our work much more efficiently. I will say what's obvious to all of us, that we have a housing crisis, that we must pursue that, make that the top of the agenda for the city. It's interrelated to the challenges of homelessness, and we must pursue those. Let me suggest that some of the ways to do that, or one is to be, in some respects, defensive, or to preserve what we have. And so things like our rent stabilization ordinance and the ALICE Act, those need to be strengthened to protect the rights of tenants. The challenges we have is that there's abuse of these laws, and so we want to end the abusive actions that are taking place, and we want to advocate for amendments both here and at the state level to address those concerns. We want to stop displacement, and so we want to utilize the tools that are available to us to do that. In addition, we want to look at legislation that sets up priority preferences for eligible qualifying tenants who have been displaced from RSO units by requiring new income-restricted units approved through the state's density bonus law or subject to an affordable housing covenant. These are some of the things that we want to do to protect tenants, either within replacement projects or places where they're displaced. We want to preserve the existing affordable housing stock. We want to expand the covenants where we can, and do so in a way that works both with the landlords and the owners and the tenants. We have to figure out what is the right formula for that so that we can preserve those. And then finally, we want to work with developers to make sure that we do all that we can to clear the way so that they can do the things that they do best, which is build housing. Frankly, neither us nor the city or anybody else builds housing other than developers in the city, and we need to get out of their way so that we can build all the types of housing that we need. There's not a single solution to this housing crisis. It's one that's going to require us to look at all the different toolboxes that we have and take the appropriate tools for that. And so I'm prepared, colleagues, to move forward. I'm excited. I like the smaller committee. I like the possibilities for us to move forward. We've done a lot of work. In the last term, we did the House LA initiative. We've got a homeless study. Those are integrated together. I think we have a great opportunity to finally now really move some big pieces in this city so that we can have an impact and turn the direction that we've been in to turn that direction around. So with that, colleagues, Mr. Priest.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's an honor and a pleasure to come back to this committee and to be able to sit alongside two experienced lawmakers that I've watched over the years and in my short time here on the City Council. I think as chair of homelessness and poverty, really the genesis of the homelessness problem in Los Angeles and beyond is a result of, at least in part, of the housing crisis. And so the main work that I'm focused on is very much connected to what we're doing here in this committee. And, you know, from being spending a lot of years as a community organizer and looking at polling and being in neighborhood councils and churches and community groups, the political will in Los Angeles is there to get something big done on housing, and it just requires leadership. And I can't think of a better person to spearhead that leadership on behalf of the LA City Council than Senator Gil Cedillo. So we're happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your kind welcome, Mr. Chairman. It's a real honor to be able to work with both you and Councilmember Harris Dawson on this. This is an issue that touches upon just about every other issue that we work on in City Council, whether it's homelessness, whether it's jobs creation, whether it's trying to attract new businesses that will expand our economic pie. One of the biggest issues is always the availability of housing. Preserving the quality of life in our neighborhoods throughout Los Angeles, planning our transportation future. So many of the big issues that are strategic issues for the future of Los Angeles are dependent upon smart, efficient, effective housing policy. And so I'm very much looking forward to working with both of you. You, of course, have been, Mr. Chairman, a champion on this issue throughout your career. And as you mentioned, Mr. Harris Dawson, wealth of experience in dealing with these issues. And I'm just hoping to make up for my lack of experience with my youthful exuberance. So I'm looking forward to working with you.
Great. Shall we proceed? We close public comment. We have that on the record.
Public comment, and we call regular public comment.
Close. Yes.
Okay.
With that, Mr. Chair, item 1.
Yes.
Item 1 is a report by HCID CAO relative to the selection of the Coalition for Responsible Community Development to develop affordable housing on city-owned property located at 1211 East 43rd Street. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. My name is Nick Campbell with the CAO's office.
Nick, could you use the microphone, please?
Sorry. My name is Nick Campbell with the CAO's office. The item before you is a request from Housing to select the Coalition for Responsible Community Development as developer for the city-owned parcel at 1211 East 43rd Street. CRCD was selected as part of an RFP released in January to facilitate the transfer and rehabilitation of 7 occupied residential properties acquired by Housing through foreclosure. Additionally, Housing requests authority to negotiate and execute an exclusive negotiation agreement and a disposition and development agreement with CRCD, and further requests that the council requests the city attorney to draft an ordinance effectuating the sale of that real property upon the execution of the DPA. There's no impact to the general fund from the actions of or recommendations of our report, and our office concurs with the recommendations of the department, and I'm available for any questions on the CAO report.
Yeah, you touched upon it briefly in the report, but I guess what jumped out at me from the RFP on this is that there was only one qualified bidder at the end of the day, and only 2 bidders in the first instance. So sometimes that happens, especially now that a lot of folks are really busy in the construction industry. And but that being said, it always concerns me a lot when I see that we don't have responsiveness in our RFPs. So what are your thoughts about why we only had one responsive bidder, and what can we do better to ensure that we get more people participating so that we get truly competitive bidding?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Mariana Lem, and I'm the manager of the Land Development Unit at HCID, and so I can answer your question. We actually did an extensive marketing campaign to reach developers, consultants, and other stakeholders. We sent over 1,000 emails out to a developer list, a consultant list. We sent an advance email notice indicating that the RFP was going to be released. We sent another one on the day that the RFP was actually released to LA Bathin. We also sent out an email when the bidders conference was scheduled and a reminder email that the bidders conference was coming up. At the bidders conference, we actually had 115 individuals that RSVP'd, and we had 70 individuals that actually attended the bidders conference. So we were somewhat surprised that we only received 2 proposal responses, but we did get those proposal responses and score them appropriately. The one proposal response that we received for the 6 scattered sites was deemed not eligible because it did not meet the threshold of 70 points. But the proposal response from CRCD for the single site was deemed acceptable, and they scored a score
Right.
of 75.
So it seems it wasn't a lack of outreach, but there was something about our bid package or doing business with the city or something that caused 70 people who showed up at that meeting to not be interested.
Yes,
So,
and we plan to actually outreach to the developers that attended the bidders conference and to survey them and ask them questions as to what were some of the concerns and issues, so that when we do, and then we can decide on what our next steps
Great.
are with these properties. So, yes.
okay, thank you.
Yes, just on the point of preparation of organizations, is there work, and this is purely a point of information, is there work done before RFPs comes out, so like workshops or print ads, just so folks will know and can do the pre-work? Because I would imagine that if you get to the bidders conference or that initial phase and you have major pieces missing, there probably isn't enough time to get ready between then and the due date for the RFP.
Well, we typically will meet with the various council districts that have the property in their council district to get a sense of what they're looking for. We do have some ongoing outreach to the developers, and we let the developers know that an RFQP or RFP is going to be released. And we let them know, what properties are available. But we don't specifically sit down with them and say, this is what we're looking for in particular, because we're trying to go through a formal process.
Thank you.
Only because these are the 2 burning questions of the day. Is there affordability in this project?
Yes, actually, we're going to work with the selected developer, and then we're going to place a 55-year covenant on the property, so we'll have a regulatory agreement when we'll
Great.
work that as part of the ENA and then the DDA.
Great. And then obviously going forward, is there the appropriate accessibility?
We will work with the developer on that when they actually rehab the building. There are existing tenants in the building, so they'll have to move tenants around, and those tenants will have the ability to come back to their same spot.
All right. But on the question of physical ADA requirements, I imagine these are older units.
We will take that in consideration. That's part of the DDA, yes.
Okay. Algo más? Ready to move it?
I'll move the item.
Item moved. Second. Objections?
Mr. Chair, the committee should be adopting these CAO recommendations.
This is the next item, half on. What's that? She can speak on that. Just general public comment for 1 minute. What's your name?
Joe. My name is Joe. Committee members, as part of item 1, did you approve the CAO report on that matter? Thank you.
Open public comment. We're going to open public comment just once, and just for this moment, there were some challenges with accessibility, i.e. parking, and so we'll hear from the public for this one moment and for this one issue. Joshua, please join us.
Thank you so much for letting me speak today. I'm here as a landlord to tell you why there's no affordable housing in the city of LA. I was a housing authority partner for 30 years, and I've pulled all my homes now, 5 of them, only 1 left. The housing authority, currently I have a tenant who's in the home 25 years. Not only are they failing the needs of the tenants, they're failing the needs of the landlords. This was supposed to be a partnership between landlords and the housing authority. Quite frankly, the housing authority is terrorizing tenants and they're terrorizing landlords. I rent my homes way below what the housing authority offers. And I've driven all the way here today to tell you about this because I honestly really feel you need to look into it. Not only are they not providing homes for people, they are having people who are in current housing because of their actions after 25 years going to be dumped out into the street, and they are encouraging that. I would be happy to provide my information to you, and I would be happy to provide the details, because listening to this today and really looking at what is going on in the housing authority will really remedy your housing shortage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will you be available after the meeting so that we can?
I will be available after the meeting, and I have reserved all of my emails. These people actually think they can terrorize people and do whatever they like and that they're above the law. That's just not the case.
We appreciate that. We'll talk to you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Let me reclose the public comment now. Okay.
That takes us to item 2, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The reappointment of Ms. Norma Cadena to the Housing Authority. And also, item 3 is the reappointment of Ms. Daria Nunez to the authority and Dr. Erica L. Hacas to the Housing Authority. Is item 4.
Ms. Nunez is here.
Yes. Who's going to translate? Yes. ¿Quién va a traducir? ¿Alguien viene con usted para traducir? Hi, how are you? You are her colleague, her daughter, her... Yes. Okay, great. Welcome.
Okay. Pues,
Hola, ¿cómo está?
muy bien. Buenas tardes.
Sí.
Gracias por el honor de servir a la comunidad de Los Ángeles.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the honor of serving the community of Los Angeles.
No sé si tienen algunas preguntas o cómo va a ser esto.
I don't know if you have any questions for me or how this is going to work.
No, yo creo que todos saben su trabajo y todos quieren decir gracias por su trabajo, su tiempo, muy importante para tener su perspectiva, parte de los inquilinos. Y por nosotros es muy importante y yo creo que nosotros quieren continuar a trabajar con usted.
Muchas gracias y pues sí, es mi meta,
Sí.
trabajar porque todos los residentes, la comunidad tenga una vivienda digna, ¿verdad? Y seguir luchando porque esto permanezca.
Sí, de acuerdo.
Thank you, because it is my goal to continue working for the community and making sure that everyone has a safe home.
Colleagues, any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we do it as, can we do it as a block? The whole 5 or the 3?
Approve items 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, let's do the 3. Let's do the Housing Authority nominees.
So, Mr. Chair, that'd be items 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
Would the committee be approving those nominees?
I move
So
that
moved.
we move
Second.
this. Okay. No objection. Gracias, felicidades.
Gracias.
Item 5 is the appointment of Ms. Kelly Dillon to the Commission for Community and Family Services.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Great. We're very excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Any words you want to share with us?
The only thing I want to say is that it's an honor and a privilege to even be elected to this commission. I've been working in the city of Los Angeles about 10 years now with community organizing, mostly on the grassroots level. I've worked in violence prevention, domestic violence, and now I actually work with housing prevention and intervention and rehousing homeless individuals. So this is another level of service, and I'm very excited and looking forward if I'm able to move forward in this position.
Colleagues?
Excellent. I just want to thank you for making yourself available for all the work that you've done historically, but especially for this role. We are very excited about your leadership. Kelly has been just absolutely critical to everything that's happening in the 8th District, especially around homelessness prevention and domestic violence, which is one of our big feeders of homelessness in the city of LA, but in South LA in particular. So thank you again for making yourself available. We're excited about what you'll bring.
Thank you, Councilman.
I'm very excited because we always love to have Bruins,
Yeah. Oh. Yes.
sociologists,
You had to raise
Yeah.
that. Make everyone-
and you should know, because we're tracking each other, both sociology, UCLA, but I also started with Volunteers of America,
Oh, okay.
right out of UCLA, so
Yes. I look forward to the work and also being able to contribute from the direct services that
Yep.
we do with the homeless and being able to present it to the board for more information.
no, you're vital to us, so
Yeah.
I thank you, and we thank you.
Thank you.
Motion?
Move.
No objection? Thank you, congratulations.
Item 6, the appointment of Ms. Janet Burton to the Affordable Housing Commission.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Want to share some?
My name is Janet Bird, and just wanted to go ahead and thank you to Mayor Garcetti and City Council to go ahead and providing me this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. ¿Algo más?
Any questions?
No? Good. Very excited to have you. Thank you for serving.
Thank you.
Motion?
Move.
No objections? So be the order.
Thank you. Item 7, HCID and CAO reports relative to the use of $150,000 in program income for the hiring of a Fuse Fellow for the department.
Like Fuse.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. My name is Christina Karatzis with the CAO's office, and I'm joined with a representative from Housing. The item before you is a request from Housing to utilize an amount not to exceed $150,000 from the Low and Moderate Income Housing Fund to execute an individual task and placement agreement with Fuse Corp. If approved, Housing would place a Fuse Fellow in their asset management division for a term of 1 year. The fellow would be given the task of analyzing the department's affordable housing portfolio and current asset management practices and provide recommendations including the reorganization of asset management resources to improve the department's asset management system. The Fuse Fellow will be fully funded by the Low and Moderate Income Housing Fund, and there is no impact to the general fund. Our office concurs with recommendations 2C and 2D by the department, which recommend approval of the funding necessary for the proposed Fuse Fellow. This office did not include recommendations 2A and 2B, as the city's existing master agreement with Fuse Corp already authorizes departments to execute individual task and placement agreements. I'm available for questions on the CAO report. Thank you.
Councilman Cedillo, council members, thank you. My name is Doug Swager, and I'm with the Housing Community Investment Department. We see the Fuse Fellowship as an opportunity to improve sort of the management of all the investment that the city's done in affordable housing over the years. And we look forward to having them come on, take a deep look at how we operate, and give us recommendations to improve the service. Thank you.
My only concerns or interests, are there any things you need from us to help facilitate this? I obviously think that this should be channeled through HCID, and we need to unencumber you guys so that we can get a greater handle and control of the assets that are available for the city.
Approving this will be a great start, and if we do need more, we'll certainly come back to ask for it. Thank you.
Questions? Motion?
Move the CAO recommendations.
Second. No objections? So be the order.
Item 8, HCID and CAO reports relative to the issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds regarding the 252 Rampart Apartments project.
Good afternoon. Again, I'm Nick Campbell with the CAO's office, here with the representative from Housing. The item before you is a request from Housing to issue tax-exempt multifamily housing conduit revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $7.69 million to finance the construction of the affordable housing development known as the Rampart Mint Apartments. Housing additionally requests authority to enter into a sole source ground lease with 252 Rampart Apartments LP, the developer, with a proposed term of up to 99 years and an annual ground lease rent of $1. The 22 permanent supportive housing units that will be included in the project will be restricted for the entirety of that lease term. There's no impact to the general fund as a result of the issuance of these bonds, and our office concurs with the recommendations of the department. I'm here for any questions on the CAO report. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Magdalena Zakarian. I'm a finance officer with Housing Department, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
Just out of curiosity, how big is this lot to go from a single-family home to a 22-unit building?
I don't have the square footage with me, but currently it's a 4-bedroom house, and it has been vacant for past about 25 years. And
I just want to almost run a running question. Do we have ADA accessibility? Is this a component part of this as we move forward?
yeah, all of our contracts are required to comply with ADA requirements, and CASP report is part of the requirements.
We couldn't squeeze in a few more units? Yeah, the sky's the limit here. Right? And I'll be here next week. Motion?
I'll move the recommendation.
Motion, second. No objections?
Approve the CAO report.
Yep.
Thank you.
That concludes the agenda.
That concludes the agenda. Motion to adjourn? Motion To adjourn, so be. Second.